to video 3. So you've obviously liked and subscribed, and thankfully the puppy didn't get it, so my wife's very happy. We're actually here today with the man that kind of built the car, really, John Webster. So I don't know if you know John, fabricating genius. He's done drag racing. He's done all my previous other Audi quattros as well, haven't you? You've done.
It's getting a habit.
It is, yeah. This is like Audi Sport Wellingborough, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on like build 3 now together, and by far for me this is the most enjoyable one, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. Well, it's a totally different concept, isn't it? Like it's not a copy of anything else that's ever been done. It's a tribute.
Correct.
To something that's a bit of a unicorn. So it's made it really interesting.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that sort of flexibility has made it very enjoyable because there's no photos of the original car or no documentation of the original car. There's a couple of renders on the internet, but they weren't correct, were they?
No.
There was like turbos in passenger seats, and you just couldn't have a car like that, which is what we found out. And we sort of we sat down with some parts which we got pre-made and built and stuff like that, and then we used the chassis jig that we've got here in-house at Webster Race Engineering, and then we roughly laid out the wheelbase of the car, the wheel track, roughly where the engine was going to sit, and then put some panels on it and went from there, didn't we?
Yeah, it's kind of a touchy-feely start, really, because there's no dimensions to work to. We just knew that the car was modified from an existing quattro of some kind, so it inherited some of the quattro architecture as such, but the inherent problems was moving the engine to the back, which limited the driver's space, which is small anyway. So we knew that the wheelbase had to be moved around a little bit, and it's a case of interpreting little photographs we had to make it kind of look something close, and with a little bit of faith and judgment, good or bad.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the hard part, isn't it? When you're starting from zero and you haven't got date trims or you haven't got chassis points or anything like that, one of the dilemmas that first come about was like where to put all the suspension and where to put suspension arms. I mean, I'm no expert on suspension and stuff like that. I can kind of work around something that's already there, but that's when we kind of relied on your expertise, really, and tell them how you done it on CAD, wasn't it? Yeah, cardboard aided design. Exactly, cardboard aided design.
Yeah, well, the original idea in line with the original car as such was everything was handmade, so stuff like the suspension arms and pickup points and all that were kind of invented on a prototype basis for them. And when you looked at those limited photographs you had, if we went that route, it was kind of really involved. It would have been involve a lot of design work, that kind of stuff. So each A-arm had to be handed, which means there were 2 separate jigs, and then there's 16 A-arms and all that kind of stuff. So you got jigs, you got possibly and more than likely you need spares. So the manufacturing process for the arms alone were kind of like a big task. So after, obviously we discussed it a little bit, the OEM option seemed like a route to follow, and obviously we just go with the R8 stuff was available commercially, and it at a really good price.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it obviously included stuff like potential mounting for aftermarket brakes, ABS sensors, all that kind of stuff. So having gone that route to follow, we took the A-arm dimensions and the geometry that kind of existed for that car, and adapted it within the wheelbase and wheel track of what the car had to be.
Yeah.
So like you say, they were actually fitted to the jig. We made fixtures to put the hubs in a particular camber caster position, and that dictated the origin for the start of the wishbones. And then we did the cardboard aided design drawing of all the pickup points for the suspension to kind of try and evaluate the potential roll centres and anti-dives and that kind of stuff. It's all a bit speculative because obviously it's chicken and egg situation. We don't know what the weight split is, we don't know what the height centre of gravity is, and it's kind of, we can kind of guess it to some extent. So to that extent, everything we designed into it included a lot of adjustments. So, so when it comes down to actually doing some development with the car, we've got some room to move along with all the other aspects of what's required. So the positioning of the pickup points for the suspension was the nucleus of the chassis design, along with ride height and that kind of stuff. So engine position and gearbox position, etc. So bearing in mind we have to make enough space for you to get in and that kind of stuff as well. So
that was hard enough as it is. You know. No fat shaming, all right.
So so the nucleus of the chassis is based around those aspects, and then it's fine detail, and I could talk forever about the fine detail because that's what takes the time. But the concept was born at that point, and then everything evolved from there. Really.
Yeah, sure. What did you find the most challenging of the project?
The challenging part was actually engine position.
Yeah.
Because we know the suspensions...
So space limited, wasn't it?
It was.
By the time, because the car's going to be four-wheel drive, and we had to get the engine in a certain position and the diff to be in a certain position to drive the rear wheels, that become the biggest. You know.
Yeah.
I'm sure the tack welds got broken a few times on the jig.
You start off with the idealism of like certain aspects, like the Audi engine sits at a certain degree, lean over, and you kind of try and incorporate that into the initial concept and all that. And then because the nature of the double wishbone and how much volume of space it takes up, that limited the engine position in that respect. And then we've obviously got to get accessibility for maintenance. We've got to have, we could fit a clutch in there. The weight split needed to be conducive to what we thought might be a good option, which meant the gearbox was going towards the front and attached to the diff, which we'd already obviously had made and that kind of stuff, which helped to work with real stuff rather than just drawings. And then the engine actually ended up being in a really particular place, and it was options were within millimeters. Because the way that the drivetrain worked with a clutch housing part of the engine and then drive shaft going to the gearbox, the output, the drive shaft back to the rear diff dictated how much space we had, along with the driver position, that kind of stuff. So it was literally millimetre
100%
requirements on it, as was the diff in the rear. So we ended offsetting the engine as far over as we could towards the driver to get enough space to get the drive shaft and the diff in on the rear. So, but that area was kind of the most challenging.
And to be honest, everything's custom made, isn't it?
Absolutely everything.
Even down to like little brackets for the engine. Everything is handmade, all in-house, isn't it? So, and if you have a look around here, there's no CNC machines, there's no whatever. You just sort of fabricate everything by hand, old school, and you know.
It has to be, from my perspective, and timescale wise, the design process in an ideal world is like proper drawings, CNC programs, that kind of stuff. But it's really costly, that kind of stuff, and timescale wise, It draws out a project quite long, and you need a team.
Yeah, and often as well, like if something's designed on CAD and whatever, it's been designed by an engineer that doesn't actually fit the part himself.
That's it, yeah.
And so many people you see, they build these cars via engineers or whatever, and then, you can't get the engine out because of this, or you can't get it out a certain way, and, it's not practical, is it? No? And I suppose that's probably where John's experience in drag racing probably helps, doesn't it? Because all your parts are like Velcro, aren't they? You're always taking your crap apart and fixing it very quick, aren't you? So
yeah, we have short turnaround between rounds, and so anything that needs to be serviced has to be accessible quickly.
Yeah.
And so that's always at the forefront of most things we do. And it's annoying when you work on someone else's car and you come across those problems. So we're mindful of it all the time, really. So we build the car on a touchy-feely type basis where if we've got something tangible in front of us, we can make it, coordinate it with the car and other parts around it, and assess those things like how easy is it to make, how easy is it to access, how easy is it to repair, that kind of stuff. And it kind of, the design, the development and the build is one process for us to some extent. Yeah. There's always going to be development afterwards because, it's difficult to make. Ford can't produce a product that works straight out of the box. Yeah. They take, years to develop stuff. So whenever we build a car like that, we always emphasise to the customer that these things are always R&D projects, especially drag racing where you can't really go fast enough. So you're always looking to go faster, and when you develop your program, you discover that some stuff needs to be modified to make it work better, or it just didn't work, or whatever. Then you follow that design R&D project type process,
And I think that's what's really helped with this project as well, because you've done Walter, the first quattro, and we learned a ton on that. Then we've done Ray, learned a ton on that, and that was specifically for Pikes Peak, that car. And we kind of know what we want to do with this car now, so we sort of incorporated the best of all those sort of worlds, really. And then we've, hopefully got something that will, stand the test of time, really. So,
yeah, all will be revealed.
It will be, yeah. Watch your space, yeah. One of the things we covered in the previous episode was the power plant and the driveline that we are going to use. Now, I think it's quite good that we've got quite a lot of power, 650, to like potentially 1,000 horsepower. And one thing that doesn't impress John is those little numbers. You take John for a ride up the road in like a powerful car or whatever, and unfortunately, because he builds cars like this and like around here, it doesn't really float your boat, little numbers like that, do they?
Well, but 1,000 horsepower is interesting going around corners.
Yeah. But I mean, could you imagine that back in the day on a forest road, or like it must be, like that's why they were so crazy. And it was such a special era, wasn't it? The Group B and Group S, and and you watch some of the footage, and like it's amazing, isn't it? But I mean, you're used to a lot more power, aren't you? What's the most you've had?
10,000 horsepower.
Yeah,
at the time, it's the same sort of setups making 12 now, I think, something like that.
Yeah,
so.
and top fuel
car, yeah.
So, fair play.
Yeah, it gets your attention.
I bet it does, yeah.
Yeah, but the Pro Mod stuff is like a different thing. It's a bit more sophisticated than the fuel cars, kind of brute force and ignorance, really. I mean, they're quite scientific now, how they get them up the track and stuff like that, so finely tuned, but proper brute force though. Yeah. And these things here are a lot more interesting to me. With suspension and a lot more aspects.
Yeah, 100%. Every day's a school day, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And like you, and John campaigns his own Fast Company Mustang Pro Mod car, and it's been a long battle, hasn't it? Like, year 4 or so now? 5.
Yeah.
And and that's, you know, one attribute of John is like he just doesn't give up. You know, if you don't know something, you'll learn about it and you'll want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll just get it sorted, won't you? So
yeah, money and time permitting, it's kind of that they're always the factors that kind of govern the rate of progress.
yeah,
You know, we always had a 5-year plan for the Mustang anyway, but it didn't seem to be getting too far that quickly, but it kind of starts coming together now. So
yeah, 100%. And back to like the Group S car, what sort of time frame do like people sort of expect that these things are meant to take? You know, because it's not a 5-minute job. You know, the parts aren't available, and you can't. And plus, you've got to run a business. You've got other customers, you know, to keep happy and stuff like that. What's a typical time frame that you sort of allow for?
it's kind of always an unknown factor. When someone asks about price or time, it's kind of a case of if you restrict it down to one or the other, you're limiting what you're building.
Yeah.
And I know
It restricts your freedom, doesn't it?
it does, yeah.
You know, if you build something to that B word, budget,
Yeah, yeah,
everyone hates that in this industry, don't they?
they do, yeah. I mean, it's
Because it's just restrictions budget.
yeah. From a customer's point of view, obviously they always want to know how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. But a lot of the time, my answer is, well, if you're building a heads-up type competition car, ultimately it's going to be a moving target.
Yeah.
And if you want to build this car the way you want to build it, it's not usually, well, it is, but the cost is not really a factor as such, because if you want that, it's always going to cost a certain amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it becomes a problem is when someone wants something very specific in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Then there's no compromise really,
Yeah.
because you can't have the time and save costs if you're trying to build. So it's a matter of putting the hours in and being under pressure from a time perspective, which is always going to be more expensive. So I would say, well, if you really want the vehicle you want, then it's only a matter of time then. So you think you've got this much to spend, but in given time, you've always got more, generally. So it's a case of like setting out your table and going, I ultimately want this car. So a lot of the time we build the cars in stages for customers. So, So if you want known costs, we can build a rolling chassis for almost a known cost.
Yeah.
Give or take, you know, the specification, because you can out cost a car on wheels alone.
Yeah.
You know, so but the construction of the car, to some extent, at a rolling chassis level, is predictable, and it's the detailing that costs the money.
Yeah.
So the stage deal works for a lot of customers who are like just working guys that are passionate about what they want to do. So they build the stages, save the money, build the stage, etc., etc. So, but in terms of a project like yours, it's a totally bespoke thing. The drag cars have a formula. We work to a formula. I don't think I have a drawing for a car. It's a formula, so we know and expect to build what we build. Whereas something like your car is kind of unique. It'd be unique to anybody.
Yeah, you know. It's not even worth asking for a quote, really, is it? No. You know, because.
But you understood that when you took the project on. You kind of go, this is what I want, and it's going to take me how long it takes to achieve the spec that I want.
Yeah, 100%. And we probably spent about 14 months here fabricating the car.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was from nothing. That was literally, you know, we had a lot of parts in advance, which, you know, makes the flow a lot better. But that was from nothing. You had to order the material in, you know, blah, blah. We had to make, you know, the whole lot really. And literally you made a rolling shell really, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd done all the dry build here. And, you know, John's made everything from the exhaust manifold to, you know, doors fit, bonnets fit, you know, like the lot. Bonnet pins, ran the right way.
90 degrees?
Yeah. And it's just been an absolute pleasure this time. So yeah, no, thank you very much. And
Yeah.
you know, and there's still more to come from John as well, because we've still got there was still like lots of little loose ends, wasn't there, that we still haven't got, you know, finalised. So
Yeah,
the
some
car's going to be
detailing
back
to do.
here, you know, yeah, because the detailing just never stops, does it?
No.
You know.
No.
So it's kind of, you got to kind of get it, you know, roughly a stage where we can get into paint, and then, you know, once we've got that, we could then, you know, come back and do the final detail work later on and stuff. So, you know.
Who owns that epic piece of kit in the back?
Oh well, this is a pretty cool car actually, by a pretty cool guy who owns it as well. Actually, he's super cool, isn't he? He's a guy, Carl Cox, DJ, who's passionate about his motorsport, and he's hoping to campaign this in the British or UK Pro Modified Championship in 2024. He's got a couple of other cars that he wants to race in different parts of the world, but yeah, so this is resident in the UK for that purpose, really.
This is not only Carl's only project, is it?
No, he's passionate about his sport, motorsport.
Yeah, fair play.
He's involved with Isle of Man, motorcycle racing, British Superbike.
Excellent.
Loads of different stuff. He's really passionate about his drag racing.
Yeah.
I think he's got a dragster that he's building with this combination in that he's taken out to Australia.
Yeah, sure, yeah. This combo, like, it's not currently allowed in the UK for UK drag racing, but this is obviously just his passion, you know, like, and that's the same as what a lot of cars you build, isn't it? And the same as like what you built for us, you know, like sometimes it's, you know, it's good with no rules, isn't it? You know, like you got to build what you want and you know what you desire, but you know.
Yeah, I mean this combination is legal in the US.
Yeah.
And normally the rules translate over 12 months in arrears.
Yeah.
And so this really, in reality, should be legal in the UK, but there's been some options not to take this combination on board.
Yeah.
But hopefully it will get changed, and Carl will be able to run in competition.
Yeah, they'll change it, won't they?
But Carl's passionate about it anyway. He's gonna
100%.
He's gonna come over and run the car at test sessions and stuff like that anyway, because he wants to run the car. So
So carlcoxmotorsport.com.
yeah.
Follow him.
Yeah.
He's one of the boys.
These are some of the materials that we used on Grumpy. This was the motor plate materials, which basically holds the engine in place. There's 70-75 aluminium, which I hasten to add is dog proof.
So, John, why does it have to be dog proof?
Well, as you know, any small parts of your car that were left around, Mac tends to take a liking to. And
so whenever I come down here and John's dog, Mac, his other co-worker, good for mental health reasons, he would play up and then start to eat my parts. So, you know, but we got over that.
Yeah.
He didn't eat too many expensive parts, just, you know.
well, when we get visitors, he likes a bit of fuss.
Yeah.
And then once the fuss is over and we start talking, he wants more attention, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So he goes, what can I get that kind of will make him take notice?
Yeah,
I know, I'll get Dave's
his parts.
So one number plate later and number plate light.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so this material is basically what we use to mount the engine. And then the chassis is constructed from 4130 chrome moly tubing, which is super strong, super light, and perfect for the job.
Right. As you know, our painter doesn't want to be on camera because he's Mr. Blobby. He's got, you know, previous commitments.
No publicity.
No publicity. Another one that wants to remain anonymous. But we should be getting the car back from paint very, very soon. So yeah, please like and subscribe.
And comments.
Yes, lots of comments. That helps the algorithm as well. So yeah, thank you. Enjoy the video. And next round, we'll have the car back from paint and we can show you the body on it and all its glory. And yeah, start the final build. So please follow.
Exciting times.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Good man. Thanks, mate.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
That was a quick 10 minutes, wasn't it? 5 hours later. He's got that welding machine now. He thinks he's a f***ing welder, doesn't he?